is the employee concerns program. People go and they raise employee concerns, and then the end result is nothing happens. And once again, another impasse is met between the employee and their concern. So no one wants to speak to the supervisor because they're afraid of negative performance appraisal. No one uses the corrective action process to document things because the end result is an impasse, and then also the employee concerns program. Thus, we have the largest number of allegations in the history of nuclear power in the United States. So the point is that we need to reestablish the relationship between the worker. We need to make the corrective action process actually work and result in actions taken against those who are committing local violations, not just because they happen to be a director or a high-level manager, and therefore we don't enforce any sanctions against them. So those are the issues that need to be corrected. First and foremost is the relationship between the worker, the supervisor, and the manager. You must establish that trust. If you cannot establish that trust, you will never escape from where we are today. Info 4, Info 3 2 times in a row, Info Policy Note 14, plan, longest cross-cutting issues in human performance.
Thanks for the comment. I share a lot of similar views with what you expressed here tonight. And I agree that to build that trust factor, you have to work on the relationship between those that need to bring forward those concerns and make sure that they have an environment where they can do that without any fear of retaliation or retribution whatsoever. And that's something that San Onofre have been working on and is continuing to work on. Your first question involved a large number of allegations and maximum thresholds for enforcement action. I would contend that the agency has taken enforcement action already with respect to the large number of allegations. That was a primary factor in our decision to issue the chill effects letter earlier in the year, and that requires the facility to implement some reviews and some additional actions, and it also will prompt us to do additional inspections and oversight. And I mentioned that during the presentation earlier that we'd be out in January to do our initial look at the effectiveness of some of those actions to improve the safety-conscious work environment. And one of the areas we'll be looking at is the utilization of the Employee Concerns Program and how effective that program has been in resolving issues that come into the program. We'll also be comparing some of the data that is in the Employee Concern Program, comparing that to our own allegation system to see if there's differences in what the agency's receiving in terms of concerns from the program. And then, the cross-cutting issue, sorry. The question about whether or not there's a max threshold for enforcement actions with respect to substantive cross-cutting issues involving human performance. And essentially, the agency is in the midst of our process. We don't treat it as, we don't call it an enforcement action, but we are, and some of those you've experienced, we have an additional resident inspector here who's focused on monitoring inspection activities, and we've expended numerous additional hours to come out and do reviews. As a matter of fact, a typical 2-unit site would normally get about 2,500 hours of inspection activity a year. San Onofre will probably exceed 4,000 hours of additional oversight this year, and a lot of that activity is targeted towards problem identification and resolution and human performance issues that exist at the facility. We did have a card that came in that's very related to this topic, so I want to go ahead and read it. The question was, Songs has significantly more allegations from one site and open allegations than any other nuclear generating station. After the NRC finishes investigating these open allegations, will the NRC take any enforcement actions for substantiated allegations? And for substantiated allegations, our practice is that we process those as violations and document those in our inspection reports and take the enforcement action that's commensurate with the significance of that issue. And then the second part, this is what will the enforcement action consist of? Essentially, that's the documentation letter and appropriate action depending on the significance of the issue. And then San Onofre has an Info 4 rating. What happens is San Onofre cannot improve the plant's performance. And of course, the NRC doesn't get too much involved with the Info oversight of the facility. I do know that an Info rating of 4 requires Info to do additional oversight activities at the station under their independent process. And you guys may want to elaborate more on the Info 4 action.
I can speak briefly about that. We are considered a special assistance plant from the industry standpoint. When I was back speaking with some of the leaders of Info here recently, the feedback they gave me was that they stand by to support any and all needs that we have as a facility. Info was created specifically by the commercial nuclear power industry to assist and provide the critical independent feedback on performance of facilities to the CEOs to ensure that we all maintain a high level of performance. When one plant drifts from that high level of performance, this is how that is singled out. We are certainly in that categorization now, and it is our desire to improve our performance, close the gaps to excellence, and get our performance back where we expect it to be. And the industry, the nuclear power industry, stands by to help us with that, and at the same time hold us accountable for it.
Next speaker, Nicole Pappas.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Nicole Pappas, and I've worked at San Onofre for 22 years. I also recently completed 3 terms in public service as a trustee on the Carlsbad School Board. My experience in those 12 years is that most public input comes from people who are dissatisfied and have complaints with the system and the process that we have. But in contrary, people who are pleased with our direction and our processes, the quality of education we provide, were less likely to come forward and speak in public meetings. And that's why I'm here tonight, to provide some balance to your meeting. At your last public meeting, and tonight, I heard one of my coworkers describe his negative perception of San Onofre in all-inclusive terms. Everybody, no one wants to come forward. And I'm here to tell you, my coworker does not speak for me, and I do not share his negative perception of reality. I'm proud to be a member of the San Onofre team, both as a minimum staff member of the Emergency Response Organization, as a material handling coordinator as the equipment hatch during outages, and in my day job with information technology. I feel comfortable raising concerns to my manager and to another manager, and I do my best to coach other people, even though I'm not perfect. And so I accept coaching from others and work to continuously improve. I own my work. I strive to work safely every single day. I use, and I'm reminded to use, my human performance tools. I identify problems, and I take my obligations seriously, including protecting the health and safety of my coworkers and the public. My coworker said I didn't, but my coworker was wrong. As a school board trustee, I often receive differing opinions and public input, just as you do. And it's important for everyone to have the opportunity to be heard and to know that someone listens. It's equally important to differentiate between reality and emotion. I ask you tonight to weigh in on my reality, the reality of the silent majority, the people who don't typically come forward because they believe you already know things are going well. I am not alone. if everyone that works at the plant could be here tonight, I believe they would stand with me, and the people here who believe what I'm saying and feel what I'm saying would stand with me in our ownership of our plant, in our knowledge that we can and we will operate Stanton Oaksley safely and reliably, in our commitment for continuous improvement. Thank you for listening, and thank you for providing everyone the opportunity to be heard.
Daniel Dominguez. My name is Daniel Dominguez. I'm the Chief Officer of the local union that represents over 800 of the employees at San Onofre. We represent the administrative, maintenance, technical, and operation employees at the San Onofre plant. Our members are all highly trained, highly experienced. They've worked in the industry. They're nuclear professionals. A lot of them, all of them, live in the community. They're your neighbors, they're your friends, and they understand their responsibility. And their primary responsibility at work is to ensure that protect the health and safety of the public. It's a responsibility that they take very seriously. I've worked in the industry 28 years. I'm a reactor operator. In fact, I'll be working there this Sunday. You know, a lot has been said about human performance. We are making strides and continue to make strides in human performance. We ensure that we follow our procedures. Our members understand that if there's a problem with the procedure, they know to stop work, and they're not afraid to stop work and bring the issue up to their supervision or to whomever to make sure it is resolved. We have a very formalized process to help us in the human. They talk about human performance tools. We have a very formalized process. Procedure steps. We have this process. We use circle slash. Every procedure step is circled. When it's completed, it's slashed. You communicate. The person you're communicating to repeats it back to you, and then you acknowledge that that is the correct communication. All these processes go on to help reduce human errors, and they are having an effect. Our online performance, nothing was said about that tonight, but Unit 3 went over 600 days online. That is a record. And then thank you, we have our problems. Like I said, I'm the chief officer of the local, and we have our problems with management. But I believe that both sides are committed to returning the site back to excellence. And it's going to be a long process, as it was pointed out by the gentleman up at the table. But both sides are committed, and progress is being made. In closing, I know changing any culture takes time, but I believe we are making and have made significant progress in improving San Jose's